Infidelity, insecurity, inability, intuition. Four very heavy words that led to the most pivotal moment of my life. Infidelity. It almost cost me the greatest thing that ever happened to me. Insecurities. It led to a lot of bad decisions that I made. My inability to look within myself to find the answers that I was looking for only compounded the problem. Intuition. Intuition was something I never knew existed inside of me. If only I would have turned around when intuition was tapping me on my shoulder. Let me paint a picture for you. My whole life, people have been giving me both advice and opinions. Now, there is a distinct difference between advice and opinions. Advice comes from a place of experience and the desire to help someone. Opinions are like armpits. Everybody has one, but most of them stink. And so all my life, I never really understood the difference between advice and opinions, and that, in most cases, got me into trouble. I got married in 2015, and I had a lot of people share their opinions with me that I was too young to get married. But I didn't listen to them, and for me, I believe I made the right decision in the end because I cannot imagine my life without my family right now. However, 2 years into the marriage, my insecurities came into play. I started listening to the opinions of other people instead of seeking sage advice, and my inability to look within myself for what the right decisions were led to me making a lot of bad decisions. Then came the fateful day when everything came to a head. I couldn't keep up with my lies anymore, and my life fell apart. My wife, very wisely, was ready to leave me. When I saw the pain that my betrayals had caused in our marriage, my heart was broken. And so I looked back at my life and the decisions that I made. I looked back at these four I's: infidelity, insecurity, inability, intuition, and I wondered what I could have changed in that decision-making process. The last I is what stood out to me: intuition. I never really understood intuition. In fact, when I was a kid, I had this love-hate relationship with it. It's as if intuition was like this person who I was constantly having this argument with. Just imagine having a twin who you've known your whole life, but both of you spoke a completely different language than each other. Can you imagine the frustration of having somebody so close to you, such a part of you, and you literally can't understand each other? That's the frustration I had with intuition. Let me tell you a little story. Growing up, my dream was to become a professional baseball player. I fell in love with the game of baseball. I had baseball-related pictures plastered all over my bedroom walls. I had dozens and dozens of signed Major League Baseballs, and the only video games I ever played were baseball games. I loved the smell of fresh-cut grass and hearing my cleats scratch the dirt. I loved sliding and getting dirty and then taking the train back home and getting looks from people. I would imagine myself standing on the mound in Yankee Stadium and winning a World Series. So as I got older and went into high school, baseball got to the point where it became so serious for me in my life that I needed to make a decision of how committed I was going to be to the game. So now it's decision time. What I should have been doing was having a conversation with my intuition, but I couldn't understand a word he was saying at the time. Unfortunately, at the same time, I met somebody else. Puberty, the hormone monster. And so anybody that is listening to this right now that was once a teenager understands the noise inside of my head at the time. And what I started doing was letting the noise drown out my intuition, and I started listening to the opinions of my peers who thought it would be a better idea that we hang out as opposed to going to the gym and working on my game. The bottom line is that I didn't respect the intuition process, and I didn't respect my commitment to the game. And so I eventually lost something that was so important to me in my life because of bad decision making. Now, this didn't stop after my baseball days, you would think. This behavior kept on going. I kept valuing the opinions of other people instead of seeking sage advice. Sure, Once in a blue moon, I will catch a word, I will catch a line that my intuition was telling me. And once in a while, I will make a decision based on that intuition. But the majority of my decisions were based on the opinions of others. Which leads me back to the point that I started this talk with. The worst day of my life. As soon as all the smoke cleared and I understood the gravity of my most recent bad decision, I made a choice going forward. I chose my process. I researched and analyzed what the best method would be to build my intuition. And you have to do that when you're going on a self-discovery journey in a way that you feel comfortable with. So I looked inward to figure out what I know in life. I know baseball. And in baseball, just like in any other sport, you have to work to get good at it. So let's take this baseball round. Intuition is like a muscle. We have to work out together in order to build this trust between ourselves and our intuition. What if I started figuring out what the difference was between opinions and advice? What if I started seeking advice in the form of counsel from experienced people? And that was what inspired me to start reading personal development books. I started reading a book a couple months later called 3 Feet from Gold by Reid. And in that book, Greg talks about his dream of becoming this best-selling author. Despite knowing that he couldn't write, had difficulties in his relationship with his girlfriend and brother, life was basically telling him, Greg, you can't do this. But deep down inside, he knew what he wanted to do. He calls it the knowing. When I finished reading that book, something inside of me told me to contact him. I mean, you could imagine I was scared and I was nervous because I thought that he probably wouldn't even reply back. But I reached out to him anyways, and I sent him an email. I kid you not. He called me 5 minutes later on my cell phone. Hey, this is Greg. How may I serve you? Let me repeat that. Greg S. Reid called me and said, how may I serve you? Long story short, we booked a date and time to go interview him in San Diego, California. I wanted to interview him because I wanted to learn and seek counsel on how he was able to get familiar with his intuition. My wife, my mentor, and I flew down there, and he said that we can sleep over his house so we can save on hotel costs. He said that anybody that is willing to take a flight to go meet him can sleep over his house. I like to call it the sleepover that changed my life. I could not believe that I was about to sleep over someone's house who I admire, I looked up to. I loved the work they do. I read their books. I watched their talks on YouTube. Never in my life did I imagine that I would get the opportunity to sleep over someone's house who is a best-selling author, keynote speaker, and movie producer. So we landed, entered his beautiful home, sat down on the couch, and we started talking. I told him my sad story of how ignoring my intuition had affected my life and marriage, and he told me this. Whatever issues you guys are going through, you have to let it go and move on. From now on, you need to start listening to your intuition because your gut always knows. Seek counsel like you're doing right now so you can validate or invalidate that intuition and take immediate action. So I went back home to my normal life and I looked inward and I started to apply his advice. Think about that, guys. Something happens and you need to make a decision. Sometimes it's going to be a quick decision and sometimes you're going to take longer to make that decision. You're going to have to start training yourself on a process that you can eventually begin to trust so that you can make quick decisions as well. It all starts with the initial gut reaction, which we all have. There is something inside of you that is telling you how to feel. They say that dogs can sense fear. Even Spider-Man has his spidey sense when he feels danger is coming. We all have that as well. Have you ever been in a bad situation where all of a sudden your stomach gets in knots? That's your intuition telling you to get out of there. Have you ever met a girl or a guy that you're into? I mean, when your stomach drops, down to your feet, and it felt like you had 10,000 butterflies inside of you. That's your intuition saying, go talk to this one. This one is a good one. It's not always a voice that is telling you what to do. It's a feeling inside of you as well. So now, for a little while, you're going to have to start validating or invalidating that reaction, just like Greg said. So you're going to have to do your research. You're going to have to start seeking the advice of experienced people. Listen to me. You're not always going to meet a Greg S. Reid, an Evan Carmichael, or a David Meltzer. I have had some incredible fortunes in my life when it comes to meeting some incredible people in my journey, which I have been able to document with my On the Road to Success interview series. But there's always somebody out there that can give you meaningful advice. Sometimes your father, your spouse, sometimes your boss or mentor. Find that person. Spend time with the people that have your best interests at heart. People that have been through the mud, just like you have. So now, you have your intuition and you have your counsel. It's time to take a leap of faith, guys. And sometimes you're going to make a good decision and you're going to land on your feet. And sometimes you're going to make a bad decision and you're going to land flat on your face. But that's okay, because we are still getting to know ourselves and our intuition. I am finally starting to speak the same language as my intuition. And so these 3 steps, listen to your intuition, seek counsel, take action, are the 3 steps that have defined the last 3 years of my life. The guy whose infidelity was caused by insecurities because he had the inability to listen to his intuition has now become someone that has learned so much about himself because he can now trust that intuition. I never would have imagined that learning so much about myself and forming this connection with my intuition would have led me to become such a success in my own life. Now, we all define success in different ways, and I will be on the road to success for the rest of my life because I want to keep growing. So what's success to me? My marriage has improved tremendously. The fact that I'm still married to the love of my life is incredible to me. We have a son now. My first son, Noah. That's success. My health has even improved. I lost almost 50 pounds since I started focusing on my health success. I'm just somebody trying to figure this success thing out. In terms of financial success, there's nothing special about me. I have a full-time job working at the Arlo Nomad Hotel. I had to request this day off to come and speak on this stage. I am still learning how to be a successful husband, and I am still learning how to be a successful father. You talk about fixing the world? How can I fix the world when I am still trying to fix myself? And I think that's a great challenge for all of us who want to fix this world. So I challenge myself to become a better husband, to get straight with my finances, a better leader for my community, a good father. My intuition tells me that I'm going to be a great entrepreneur one day. But in order to get there, I have to work on getting good with my finances first. My intuition tells me that I'm going to be a great leader one day. But in order to get there, I have to work on being a good leader at home first. And so I come back to the difference between opinions versus advice. Opinions led me to the darkest place that I've ever been in my life. Advice brought me back to the light. But what was the difference between those 2 things? My intuition. Thank you.